Welcome to your personalized deep dive.
Oh, cool.
You shared some pretty intense source material.
Okay.
A confession, supposedly, from a dark web hitman.
Wow.
Now, full disclosure,
Yeah.
we can't verify its authenticity,
Mm-hmm.
but that's not really the point, is it?
Right.
What's grabbed our attention is the story itself.
Yeah.
The psychology,
Huh.
the choices,
Right.
the glimpse into a world most of us can only imagine.
It's scary stuff.
Ready to go down the rabbit hole.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the story starts with a 22-year-old woman from Florida.
Okay.
She begins her journey into the dark web as a teenager,
Mm-hmm.
simply looking to buy weed.
Oh, wow.
Seems almost innocent, right?
Yeah.
But she quickly gets drawn deeper into the dark underbelly of the internet,
Mm-hmm.
spending late nights exploring the most disturbing corners of the web.
Oh, gosh.
What I found interesting is that she admits to being fascinated with violence and disturbing content before coming across a help wanted ad for Hitman.
That detail is crucial. It suggests that the dark web wasn't necessarily the root cause of her fascination with violence, but rather a catalyst.
Okay.
Research on online radicalization suggests that individuals often self-select into echo chambers
Yeah,
that reinforce their existing beliefs and even escalate them.
right.
In this case, the dark web might have provided a platform for her pre-existing inclinations to flourish.
So it's not a simple case of the dark web corrupting an innocent mind.
Exactly. It's more complex than that.
Right.
This woman's story seems to be a convergence of individual predisposition and the enabling environment of the dark web.
And this help wanted ad she stumbles upon, it's for hitmen, for crying out loud.
Gosh.
She describes feeling terrified, but still goes to a meeting after receiving a message.
Oh, wow.
It's like some morbid curiosity overrides her fear.
That internal conflict is intriguing, isn't it?
Yeah,
It speaks to the duality of human nature.
right.
The pull of the unknown,
Yeah.
the allure of danger can be incredibly strong, even when coupled with fear.
The meeting takes place in a forested area with a woman named Lisa.
Okay.
Lisa gives her the details of her first target,
Mm-hmm.
Anna Smith.
Right.
And it all feels very transactional,
Yeah.
devoid of any emotion.
The lack of emotional weight in these interactions is a hallmark of many dark web narratives.
Yeah.
It's as if the anonymity and detachment of the online world bleeds into the real world,
Right.
creating a distorted sense of reality
Hmm.
where consequences feel less tangible.
It's chilling to think about.
I know.
And it gets even more disturbing when she reveals that she only learned after poisoning Anna Smith that Smith was suspected of murdering a child.
That's a pivotal point in the story.
Yeah.
It suggests a level of detachment from the consequences of her actions.
Right.
That's truly unsettling. It makes you question whether she deliberately avoids knowing the details of her target's alleged crimes as a way to compartmentalize the act of killing itself.
I'm starting to wonder if that compartmentalization is a psychological coping mechanism,
Yeah,
a way to deal with the immense guilt and moral burden of taking a human life.
that's a valid point.
Yeah.
We often see this kind of psychological maneuvering in individuals who commit violent acts.
Right.
They create narratives that justify their actions, minimizing their own culpability and dehumanizing their victims.
And she goes on to describe a career spanning 5 years,
Oh,
over 200 kills,
oh my
a
God.
new house, a nice car.
So this is like a,
It's almost like a twisted success story.
yeah.
She even boasts about using her looks to her advantage, saying her smile could melt a rock.
Now, we need to be cautious about taking these claims at face value.
Yeah.
The inherent anonymity of the dark web fosters an environment ripe for exaggeration and fabrication. It's possible that this confession is a blend of truth and embellishment,
Right.
a way to create a persona that's both intimidating and appealing.
So it's like she's crafting an image, a myth, both for herself and for whoever might be reading this confession.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you wonder about the intended audience, right?
Right.
Who is she trying to impress or scare?
Yeah.
Or is this just a way to process her own experiences,
Right.
to make sense of the life she's chosen?
Those are all valid questions.
Yeah.
And they lead us to the next crucial turning point in the narrative.
Okay.
The moment she receives her next assignment.
And this is where the story gets really personal,
Oh.
really dark.
Okay.
Because the target this time is her own father.
That's right.
Wow.
The target is someone she knows intimately,
Mm.
someone she should theoretically have an emotional connection to.
Yeah.
This shift in the narrative from a detached recounting of killings to a deeply personal story, raises the stakes considerably.
Right.
We're about to delve into the heart of familial betrayal, the
Wow.
complexities of morality and justice within the context of family ties.
This is where it gets really interesting.
Oh.
She claims the hit was ordered because one of her father's students, a young girl,
Okay.
accused him of sexual abuse.
Oh my gosh. The alleged reason for the hit on her father is horrifying.
Yeah, it's
Have a young girl come forward with such a serious accusation
awful.
against a figure of authority, especially someone in a teaching position?
Yeah,
It's a gut punch.
it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
She describes the girl coming home with bloody underwear,
Oh my gosh.
claiming that her teacher, the narrator's own father, wanted to have fun.
Oh, that.
And then she finds out there might be other victims.
Yes.
It's like a nightmare unfolding.
It forces us and the narrator
Yeah,
to grapple with the deeply unsettling reality of child sexual abuse.
right.
Sadly, statistics show that these cases are far more common than we'd like to believe.
I know, it's just...
And justice for the victims is often elusive.
It makes you question everything you thought you knew about someone.
Right?
To have this dark secret hiding beneath the surface of someone you trusted.
Yeah.
Someone you're related to.
The betrayal is multifaceted.
Yeah.
Not only is there the betrayal of trust by the father,
Right.
but also a potential sense of betrayal towards the system that's meant to protect these vulnerable children.
The text describes her feeling sick, wanting to vomit, as the reality sinks in.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of going to the police, she takes matters into her own hands. I mean, can you blame her?
That's the moral crux of the story, isn't it?
Yeah.
It forces us to confront a difficult question.
Yeah.
What is the appropriate response to such horrific abuse,
Right?
especially when the perpetrator is someone close to you?
It's tough.
The legal system, while intended to deliver justice, can be slow and sometimes fails to provide adequate protection or punishment.
Right.
But then, does that justify taking the law into your own hands?
She describes going to her father's house under the pretense of needing help.
Okay.
Then, when he's vulnerable, she attacks him.
The attack itself is described in graphic detail.
I know it's...
It's brutal, premeditated, and speaks to a level of rage and resentment that's been simmering beneath the surface. What I find particularly striking is the language used in this section.
Okay.
It's almost devoid of emotion, very matter-of-fact,
Right.
which suggests a possible dissociation from the act itself.
It's like she's separated herself from the emotional weight of what she's doing.
Yeah.
Focusing on the physical actions as a way to distance herself from the horror of it all.
It's a chilling example of how the human psyche can cope with extreme trauma and moral conflict.
And even after her father is dead, the story doesn't end there.
Right.
She sets the house on fire to cover up the crime,
Wow.
attends his funeral, and even spits on his grave.
These actions are open to interpretation.
Yeah.
On one hand, it could be seen as a performance,
Huh?
a way to maintain a facade of innocence and deflect suspicion.
Right.
On the other hand, there's a clear element of rage,
Yeah.
a need to desecrate his memory, to express her disgust and hatred in a visceral way.
It's like she's trying to obliterate any trace of him.
Exactly.
Not just physically, but also from her own memory, her own history.
It's a desperate attempt to erase not just the crime itself,
Right.
but also the emotional connection she had with him, the very fact that he was her father.
And then at the end of this whole confession, she leaves this message for the reader.
Okay.
Hopefully you will learn something from my story. Never trust anyone, even your closest ones.
That final statement is haunting.
Yeah.
Is it a genuine warning,
Right.
a plea for others to learn from her mistakes?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it a cynical justification for her actions?
Yeah.
A way to rationalize the choices she's made by painting the world as inherently untrustworthy.
It leaves you with a sense of unease, a lingering suspicion about the people around you.
I can see that.
It forces you to confront the uncomfortable truth that even those we believe we know intimately can harbor dark secrets.
It raises questions about the masks we all wear.
Yeah.
The hidden depths that we might not ever fully comprehend even in ourselves.
Right.
This confession, true or not, serves as a stark reminder of the complexities of human nature, the potential for darkness to reside even in the most seemingly ordinary individuals.
So we've reached the end of this deeply disturbing confession.
Wow.
It's a wild ride through the darkest corners of the human psyche.
It really is.
What are your final thoughts?
I have to admit, I I'm still processing everything we've unpacked.
Yeah.
It's a lot to take in,
Mm-hmm.
especially considering we can't definitively say whether this confession is real or fabricated.
That ambiguity is part of what makes this deep dive so compelling.
Right.
It forces us to confront not only the potential darkness within others,
Yeah.
but also within ourselves.
Mm.
Could we be deceived by someone close to us?
It's scary.
Could we, under extreme circumstances, be
Yeah.
driven to commit acts we never thought possible?
Those are tough questions.
Yeah.
And I don't think there are easy answers.
Oh.
But I do think this confession, regardless of its authenticity,
Right.
offers valuable insights into the human condition. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It highlights the power of narrative,
Mm-hmm.
how we construct stories to make sense of our experiences, even the most traumatic ones.
Yeah.
In this case, the narrator uses the confession as a way to control her own narrative,
Uh-huh.
to shape how others might perceive her.
Okay.
It's a way of reclaiming agency in a life that's spiraled into chaos and violence.
And it also raises questions about the nature of justice.
Yeah.
Is vigilante justice ever justified?
Right.
Especially when the system fails to protect the vulnerable.
It's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
And this confession doesn't offer any easy answers.
Right.
It simply presents us with a scenario that forces us to confront the complexities of morality,
Yeah.
the gray areas where right and wrong become blurred.
It's interesting that you mentioned the dark web earlier.
Yeah.
As an environment that fosters exaggeration and fabrication,
Right.
it seems like that element of anonymity might also contribute to a disconnect between actions and consequences.
That's a great point. The dark web, with its layers of encryption and hidden communities, can create a sense of detachment from the real world,
Yeah.
where actions feel less real, less impactful. It's like a virtual world where the normal rules of society don't apply.
And that lack of accountability can be dangerous, right?
Absolutely.
It can create a breeding ground for all sorts of illegal and unethical activities.
Right.
But also, as we've seen in this story,
Yeah.
a space where individuals can explore their darkest impulses without fear of reprisal.
Precisely.
Wow.
It's a double-edged sword.
Right.
The anonymity of the dark web can empower individuals to challenge oppressive regimes or expose wrongdoing, but it can also provide cover for those who seek to exploit and harm others.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
I'm left with this lingering sense of unease.
I know what you mean.
We've explored the dark web,
Uh-huh.
the psychology of violence,
Right.
the moral dilemmas of justice and betrayal,
Yeah.
and it all feels very unsettling.
Unsettling, but also thought-provoking.
Yeah.
I think that's the power of deep dives like this.
Mhm.
They push us to confront uncomfortable truths about ourselves and the world around us.
Yeah.
They challenge our assumptions and make us question our own values.
And that's exactly what I hope you, our listener,
Right.
will take away from this deep dive.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about sensationalizing violence or glorifying the dark web.
No.
It's about using this confession,
Yeah.
this glimpse into a world many of us will never experience firsthand,
Right.
as a catalyst for self-reflection and critical thinking.
Ultimately, the question isn't whether this confession is true or not. The
Yeah.
real question is, what does it tell us about ourselves?
Right.
About the human capacity for both good and evil?
It's a really good point.
How does it impact our understanding of the world we live in,
Yeah.
both the physical and the digital realms?
I think that's a perfect note to end on.
Yeah.
This deep dive has been a journey into some dark territory,
Mm-hmm.
but hopefully it's left you with more than just a sense of unease. Hopefully it sparks some questions,
Yeah.
some introspection,
Mm-hmm.
and a deeper understanding of the complex
Absolutely.
and often contradictory nature of the human experience.
Oh, it really is.
So as always,
Yeah.
keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.